You're listening to episode 42 of the Product Boss podcast. In this episode, we interview Taiya Thompson of School Supply Shopper, who launched her business only 30 days ago and has sold over 65% of the units that she had to offer. We found Taiya through a post that she shared on our Facebook group, the Product Boss Facebook group, and she wrote, it's a long post, so we're just going to kind of edit it out and share just some parts of it. So she wrote, Mina and Jack, wanted to share my evolution of an idea and the resulting success story from the subscription series. I binge listened over the 4th of July and was inspired to create a new revenue stream. As I brainstormed ideas, I realized a monthly box would be too involved and detract from my main business, so I focused on seasonal ideas, and due to timing, I picked a school supply shopping to develop. So she did the market research, she basically reached out to the schools, and out of 100 units that she had available, she sold 62 of them in 3 days. It's a fascinating story, and we can't wait to share it with you. So she concludes this post with, this could be a very lucrative seasonal business for our family. Thank you, Jack and Mina, for the inspiration and all you do to support our Product Boss community. So Taiya, thank you so much for being in our community, and we can't wait to share your episode with our listeners. So let's get started.
Welcome to the Product Boss podcast, where we help product-based businesses grow their sales and improve their strategies.
Hey everyone, I want to introduce you to my co-host and biz bestie, Mina Kunlo-Sitep, an Amazon guru that has built a multi-six-figure product-based business.
And introducing the other half of the Product Boss, Jacqueline Snyder. She has helped launch and grow over 500 fashion apparel and accessory brands, even one of her own.
And together, we share our inventory of secret weapons that will help you dig deep and do the work it takes.
Are you ready? Let's build together.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Product Boss podcast. I'm your host, Jacqueline Snyder, with the beautiful and wonderful co-host, Mina Kunlo-Sitep. Hey Mina.
Hey Jacqueline.
So guys, we are so excited. This is our first in-person interview / strategy session. We are in Las Vegas for the Magic trade show. It's the fashion and apparel and accessory trade show, and we were here doing a workshop for sourcing at Magic, and we were able to connect with one of our product bosses. So we have Taiya Thompson of School Supply Shopper. Welcome, Taiya.
Hi ladies, thank you so much for having me.
We're so excited. So yeah, this is our first in person. We were telling her we're usually on Zoom calls with everyone, and so she's sitting in our hotel room. We're like, you trust us to come up to our hotel room.
And then they offered me candy.
Yes.
Which she did not take.
Her mama taught her right. So welcome. So tell us a little bit about your business.
So thank you. And again, thank you for the opportunity to come on. Super excited to be here. My business is School Supply Shopper. And what it is it's inspired by a subscription box model. I'm sure we'll get into that inspiration in a little bit. But I wanted something seasonable and more manageable. And for timing, the school supply shopping was really top of mind right now. And it kind of was inspired because my daughter had wanted to go to Bahama Bucks, which is an amazing shaved ice place out here. But we had limited time. We had to go to Target and Walmart and get our school supplies done. And she says so brilliantly, why can't the schools just give this to us? Or why can't somebody just do the shopping for us so that we can go to Bahama Bucks, right? She's like, the maids come clean our house. How come someone else can't just do our shopping for us? And so I was like, wow, that could be a very viable idea. Mm-hmm. So we sat down, we did a little bit of market research. I posted in the Product Boss group page as well as elsewhere, did some Google searches, and came up with School Supply Shopper to be able to provide parents stress-free shopping and to be able to have the school participate in a fundraiser for the PTA or PTO.
Incredible.
So win-win.
Yeah, I love that. And your daughter is like a future CEO that is going to be outsourcing everything.
I know, smart. It's like when my kids I was cleaning, and it's like, Mommy, are you the cleaning lady? Don't we have a cleaning lady? And I was like, oh my God, this is how my kids are being raised.
I am the cleaning lady at my house. Yes. So, Taiya, talk to us about your post in the Product Boss. Like, what were you initially thinking about? What were you posting about and trying to, gather more information about?
So, I listened to your guys' subscription box series, the 5-week course, right? And then you were talking about Crate Joy, and I went over to the subscription school and did a little bit more digging, and I read about needing to validate your idea. So I didn't really have a lot of time for those listening. I binged the podcast over 4th of July weekend, and on 7/14, so 10 days later, I came up with the idea for school supply shopping. And here in Las Vegas, school starts 8/13. So we only had about a month to kind of pull it together. And it took me about a week. I posted in the groups that I knew, like, hey, moms, what do you guys do for school supplies? Would you pay a premium for somebody to do school supply shopping for you? How much would you pay? Is it stressful? Like, is it school supply shopping that you and your kids enjoy? And through talking to my network and the Product Boss posts, most people were either saying, no, I wish there was something like this. I hate school supply shopping. It's so stressful for me and the kids. None of us enjoy it. Or, yes, absolutely, I would pay for it, and I do, and we have this at our school. And so I found that there were many national organizations that were providing school supply kits, but none of the schools in Las Vegas were participating in any of those programs. And nobody else in Las Vegas was offering this type of service. So it kind of validated my idea to say, hey, no one else is doing it. Let me be first.
And isn't it the 5th largest school district in the country, I think? It's something really high.
Oh, that I don't know, but I know we're kind of low on the rankings.
Yeah, but I think I was watching the news last night. So let's just put you guys in perspective here. We are in Las Vegas, and it is August 14th. So 1 month ago.
Wow, time flies.
This business was launched, and she's going to share her success story. So we're here actually for the first day of school, which was yesterday. And I think I was watching on the news that this is one of the biggest districts. So that's kind of incredible because you have probably such reach to a huge district that doesn't actually have like the connections just yet.
Yeah, so I don't know how it ranks like in relation to the country, but I did do some research, and there are 316 elementary schools here, or grade schools, and over 91,000 students. So I thought, 91,000 students that all need supplies. 100% of 91,000 students need supplies. Even if I capture just a small percentage of that, that would be a very lucrative seasonal business for me and my family.
100%. And then this Vegas has changed, and people keep moving here, and so it's only going to keep growing. It's not getting smaller. So
no, it's going gangbusters. It's reminiscent of the pre-boom time.
Yeah. So okay, so let's see.
Yeah, so Taiya had mentioned that let's see here. So 8/14 today, 7/14 1 month ago. So it happens really, really fast. And I do want to point out how fast things can happen if you do take action. So there was a post that Taiya had put up where she was saying how she wasn't even going to reach out to the schools because it was so late in the game, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. So 7/14, I started doing validation. It took me about a week to decide, yes, this is going to be something that we're going to run with. I tried to DIY everything. There was no cash flow to get started, and I liked the idea of the orders coming in for the supplies, and then I had to use that money to be able to actually buy the inventory.
So the
pre-selling.
Yeah.
So I didn't have money for a web designer. I paid $7 to get my logo done through Taylor Brands, and used a Divi template and threw up a website. And then I thought, oh, well, I probably should have a flyer that I can push out to the schools. And with us not having a lot of lead time, I figured I would just start with a school that we're familiar with. So we contacted one school, sent them the flyer, shared our story about my daughter, and like, hopefully you will be inclined to share this with your parents and help them get their last minute shopping taken care of, and while supporting the school. So I gave $5 per every kit sold back to the PTSO.
Okay.
And I got that through Mina on my post in the Product Boss. Because I was thinking I was just going to push it out to parents, like advertise it on Facebook and wherever, and say, hey, parents, like pay me to do your school supply shopping. And Mina had mentioned that, hey, people are partnering with schools and it's a win-win. And then you have them being basically backing you up and pushing that out to their student body. And that made a lot more sense to me.
Absolutely. So, you also let us know that there was scarcity involved. So you said there were only 100 kits available.
Yes. So I said, hey, we're prepared for this pilot or this beta run. We chose your school to pilot with, and we only have 100 kits available.
So in a month, how many have you sold?
63.
And you said you actually sold.
It was actually in 3
days.
days.
Yeah.
So
Yes, because I didn't get the website done. It took me like 10 days to get this website up because I've never built a website before. And then I had to go Google like how to integrate PayPal into the website. So I had to do that. And, I was struggling with a lot of, I don't want to say like imposter feelings, but just, like it's too late. It's too late.
Right. Yeah, it is. It's a little bit of that self-doubt that creeps in there when you're like, oh,
Well, and a little bit imposter, because I'm thinking, what business is going to approach a school for a deal like this or a partnership like this when open house where the school supplies are supposed to be delivered is in 4 days?
And so did you get it done in 4 days?
Yes. So I sent them the flyer on 4 days in advance, and then over those 3 days we got 63 orders, and then I delivered it to the open house.
Incredible. And you're a mom of 4.
2.
Oh, I thought it was 4.
It feels like 4.
Oh, it feels like 20.
Should be. Well, 2, 4, same difference. So many kids. But either way, like you're a mom, and so you were able to just turn this out in 4 days, which is amazing. So thank you for sharing that story, because it is just so inspiring.
Thank you.
Yeah, we always tell all of our listeners to fail faster, and I think that phrasing a little bit hangs up. People get hung up on it. So I feel like in my own mind, I've rephrased it as move forward imperfectly. And that's kind of what you have to tell yourself when you start to feel that imposter syndrome or those self-doubts creep in. You have to, instead of saying fail faster, Mina and Jacqueline told me, you have to say to yourself, move forward imperfectly. Because it isn't perfect that you approach them 4 days before the open house. Even other scenarios where you're starting a business, it's never going to be perfect. So it worked out great, and it's incredible. The success of it is just 63 out of the 100. It also gave you data right away in this year that you could implement for next year as well.
Absolutely.
To make it even better.
So I think what I love about this too is that everyone gets, like you were saying, hung up. So there's people that are like quick starters, they move forward really quickly, and so there's people who work on their logos for months, but you found that you had that rush because there was a school year starting. Yeah. You had a genius idea, a school year starting, and you got it out there, and it just kind of shows everybody too, like it's not necessary. All the hoopla, like Instagram, Facebook, if you have a good product and you know how to sell it and you have the customer base there, you don't need the rest of it really. Because even for Designer Consulting Co-op, for example, I've never, like, I'm not a huge blogger. I don't have a huge, Instagram following. Like, nothing's gigantic, but my business speaks for itself and like the places that I've been. So, and you're fortunate when you don't have to sit around and do all that time for like fixing your Facebook page or Instagram and being a blogger. So it's great. So do you have any questions? Like, as you're moving into this business, what can we help you with?
I would love to know what else I might be able to do throughout the school year so that it's not just, 1 month out of the year I get this inflow. Are there other opportunities that I could do that would be easy to manage, still keep it the seasonality of it, because I have another business I'm running and family and all of that. So I don't want it to take up too much time, but I think there's some opportunity that I could be taking to develop it just a little bit further.
Okay.
I think you look at the seasonality of a school year. So let's look at beginning of the school year. That you've already tapped into that, right? So next coming up is midterm, so holiday break. So maybe you do a box that hits that midterm slump or that holiday slump that they're in for that season. So it would be fun items. And then at the end of the year, it would be graduation items, something fun for them that celebrates how fun school can be. Or you could have specific brands that would partner with you and make it even better. So inspired by subscription box model by bringing in other products, but then you're the one who's curating that box, you know. And then when you get the orders for those 60 something kits, did you get those emails?
Yes.
Okay, so that would be a way to sell to those same people. It'd be reoccurring, right?
They could sign up even outside of it, and it could be like, you know how Target, you can like dedicate certain funds to a school. Do they still do that? So it could be that where maybe at this point they're purchasing through you and they put in the school name and then like you're doing your donation off of that. So it could be for the fun mom. So there's the practical mom, and then there's the ones that are like, you know, this might be fun, like to keep your kid motivated throughout the school year, like cute erasers, or, you know, where it goes from just the general crayons or markers or paper or whatever they need to basically, my kid's starting kindergarten, so I'm like just hitting your market, but that it kind of motivates them throughout it. I also think, and I wonder, like school supplies for coming back to school, so at that mid-year time, do they need to replenish? Because there could be sort of like a replenishing kit as well.
There's not, so for our school, there's not really a big push for it, but you know, like all teachers, they're strapped for funds, and a lot of times it comes out of their own pocket. So they do wish lists, and they do send that out to parents. Like, if you're inclined, here's my wish list. So I could partner with the school and have them submit their teacher wish list, and the parents can then just use my site to buy the wish list, and I can deliver it to the school and give a portion back to the school as a fundraiser as well.
Yeah, I love that.
And also, the bigger you grow, you could probably do some partnerships with, like you could probably contact Crayola or people who are distributors, and then you can actually ask them for the donations at the point of that. So maybe the wish list isn't from you out of your pocket, but maybe it's if the schools, like let's just say you say like, the goal is if 75% of the school signs up for this, then so-and-so is willing to then donate to these wish lists kind of thing to like fund the school. So like if you got a certain sign up, and then it motivates everyone to then be able to replenish the school.
So scarcity is flipped. It'd be like, we only have 5 blah, blah, blah left, 5 boxes left till we reach our goal of however many boxes. And then this partner is going to match us or something, you know? And so that way you have to get them to agree to match you, or this bonus item would be added to the box, or you can phrase it however you want or make it however you want. Also, I think that in your email list to those parents that buy the kit, so right now you have 60 something, every time they buy, you should tell them how much you contributed to the school, because you are, you know, contributing $5 every box. I am always happy to help the school with my daughter, and I'm even happier when I know that I've helped give us, you know, when I know actually what that is, instead of just buying a t-shirt, for instance, for Spirit Wear. I know that, wow, I actually was a part of this check that gave the school like $1,000 for a playground. So it could be like a library revamp or an actual specific goal with the school.
Let me add to that then. So what about like the buy one kind of give one? So I think also there's a huge percentage of kids that are probably like
in need
at these schools, and so a donation type thing too. So it could even be if you've got wealthier neighborhoods in Vegas that have money and there's a higher percentage, maybe there's even like a portion donated. They can opt, not necessarily not going to the school, but maybe they can opt to buy one for their kid and buy one for a kid in need. And then that can then be sent to a school where like maybe they have a lower sign up, but they still need it. Same with like, so like these goals are reaching goals. And then I think as your business grows, like philanthropy wise, like that's another option for kids who can't afford to have the supplies and these other kids' parents can.
That's a great idea. You see boxes set up all over the place. Whereas you're doing your school shopping, just pick up extra and dump it in this box. But you don't ever know what school is it going to? Is it actually going to the school? Like, what kids is it helping?
Yeah, and then if you could, let's say you take a photo of yourself delivering this big stack of boxes, I think that's so powerful for people to see, and helps, build your own business too. Plus, when somebody has a more specific goal, instead of, hey, let's raise $10,000, it's easier for them to imagine when they see the physical boxes, or if they see a physical playground, or they see a physical, diagram of how a library could look. But you've done so well with what you've done already.
And I love the philanthropy idea too. Like, we always, like, with the kids, we always tell them, like, even with their chores, or my daughter's, I'm trying to raise her on very entrepreneurial, and she makes things and she'll sell them, and we do like the 3-jar idea where it's, okay, we're going to put a portion into spend, we're going to put a portion into save, and a portion into give. So we're always teaching give back. And my son has special needs, so I would love to be able to, when the profits support it, do like, maybe not a matching contribution, but a certain percentage that will specifically go to the special needs program, because those are always underfunded. Here in Las Vegas especially, those are the areas that they cut first, is the special needs programs. So I'd love to be able to give back and get assistive technology, get another aide in the classroom, whatever it takes to be able to support the students who need the extra attention.
So I love that jar idea. So if we're just thinking visuals, when you have a little bit longer in your business, where you're creating the visuals.
I think that every CEO should do this for even their biggest businesses, like not just your daughter. I mean, like I said. Yeah. But so what was it? Spend, save,
and give.
So for you guys, like the spend, save, and give, might be like the save part is kind of like going towards the school, right? For whatever their needs are, like that $5. But maybe if you did these jars, so it's like goal amounts. And so as things are filled, like, there's visuals, you can actually see the jars being filled.
The physical line. So
that is like really on par with like your family, the way you raise your family, the way you're raising your children, and like, and your, what's the word I'm looking for? It's just in line with you as a brand, you personally. And then, and this is my big thing. Like, I have a nephew that's special needs, and but not only that, just bullying, just in general bullying. And I'm always like, it comes down to the parents. Like, if the parents taught kids to support each other and the parents are supportive, instead of like my nephew, like people are kind of like, he's a bother to my children, versus sort of like, how do we all sort of support him, right? So if the parents can learn to support each other, and then like support another, like a sister school, instead of being like, keep those kids away from our kids, but let's like help those kids as well, so that all, like, the whole community can thrive. I think that's a huge.
And sometimes it makes just a difference of that extra little bit of special time. Empowering teachers just to be able to do certain things in their capabilities, and then saying, here's the funds to do it, because their hands are strapped. 90% of the time they have to like pull money out of their own pocket, even when they see that it's needed, right? So I love that so much.
Partially skills and teaching them, but then even if they have the skills, they don't have the funds to be able to do the accommodations or modifications that are needed to serve the child.
Right. So it's kind of a movement too you can build around this. But going back to your question of what to do through the year, the other question, because you have another business, which we'll sort of jump into a little later, but is sometimes you don't need to keep it going. Like, if you had a business that did so well once a year, I mean, think about it again.
Like, so bad.
No, like you had to work like a couple months of the year, and you were selling to, you had 50,000 customers instead of 90,000 customers. If, like, let's just say that was your percentage. That's also not a horrible thing. So maybe it's about like, you do all your work for the summer, the summer ramp up to get it to the kids, and then the rest of your year could be slightly like philanthropic or speaking or whatever it is, plus like focusing on
just
your other
being
business.
Visible.
Yeah, just staying involved with the PTAs, like helping them, let's say with fundraisers, or maybe it is that you're sort of like tacking a couple things on for them as they go through the year. But it's kind of like Girl Scout cookies. Once a year we see Girl Scout cookies, and then you wait for the next year.
So I love that idea. So what you would do for that is, so once a year, instead of doing it more times in a year, you instead try to upsell. So you're trying to, instead of increasing your profits or your margins through more products, which in your case it would be more times a year, more boxes, you would try to increase the margin of your transaction. So an upsell would be something like if you had a fun box that was, let's say, like a no-brainer, $15 to have a fun box added to your school supply kit. And we're talking the fun erasers, little labels, supply, labels.
But maybe they buy it all at the same time. So
yeah,
like they
so
can
it's an
opt.
upsell.
And so exactly when you're in your selling mode that someone has decided to get maybe 2 more boxes throughout the year. They've checked those off. You've gotten all the money. And then at that point, you don't have to be selling throughout the year.
Mm-hmm.
You're just shipping the other 2 boxes.
And it just comes with it. So you're upselling that, and they don't have access to that unless they buy the initial box. That's why it's only like, let's say $15 or something, and it has just like a little delightful things or labels, like I said, because that's something that they need anyways. That's not usually on the list. Or maybe it's a countdown, or maybe it's a first day of school poster, things like that. That is an add-on that's really fun. That's definitely adding it, like increasing your margin, but you're selling to those same customers, and you're only doing it once a year.
And once that selling period is done, that's it. They have to sign up.
And
next
once
year.
those other boxes, the upsell boxes are gone, they're gone as well. So there's scarcity in that too.
Right. And then kids are gonna be like, "Mom, so and so got blah blah blah," and they're like,
didn't.
"Yeah," and so it's like, sign up for next year.
Yeah. So what we love to do, myself and my daughters, is that they like school supply shopping. It's more stressful for me, but they find a lot of fun in clothes shopping. They don't care less about this actual supplies,
Right.
Because it's so specific. Red folder, 2 pockets. No staples, blah, blah, blah. They took the fun out of it with those very specific lists.
Yeah, and that's what I put on the website. Like, stop bargain bin diving for community supplies that don't matter anyway, and spend more time doing quality shopping, picking personalized things like the clothes and the backpacks and the things that are fun.
I love that.
Yeah.
And like a new water bottle. My daughter's really into water bottles. She gets a new one every year,
Water bottles, lunch boxes. Yeah.
Little labels to add to those water bottles and lunch boxes.
I know. I put them on my own kids' things, too.
I like the fun box idea because all of these school supplies are going to go to the school. They go into the community supply pit.
Yeah.
And they stay there. So, but they're going to have homework. And they need supplies at home to be able to do their homework with. So maybe their fun box they get to take home, or I deliver it to the home, and that can start their study area for their homework.
Yeah, and it could be like, maybe there's like, I don't know, but it's kind of like women in our desks, like our entrepreneurial desks, like, whatever that special thing is on your desk that motivates you to sit down. Like for us, it's candles or crystal or like a really cute notebook. A pen. So that is a good idea. So that's all kind of, you could try and batch that into the one. So it's like, buy the basics, okay, add this on, add this on, add this on, and maybe the more they buy, it's kind of like bundled, plus $7 plus $15, but then that if they were to buy all of it, it hits a number that feels comfortable for the whole shebang.
Yeah. And then that's your busy season and it's once a year. But I mean, you said so yourself, there's 91,000 students. Would you be okay if all of them signed up?
That'd be a good problem to have.
Right? Yeah, right? So even a portion of that once a year would be a very hefty income. And it's just like products that are Christmas products, right? They make all their money during Christmas, and maybe they have a Christmas in July, but even that, they don't bank on the Christmas in July. It's that they should probably just try to upsell in the holiday season because it's an easier purchase when you're adding on to something than when you're restarting again.
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
But yeah.
So anything else within this business that you feel like you'd like some help on?
Oh, let's see. So the idea will be to go out and develop this through the year and get more partner schools on board. So how do you suggest, like, is it cold calling? Is it, what ideas do you have for actually contacting the schools and getting them on board?
So quick question, did you get a few PTAs to kind of give you a letter of intent that they were going to do this?
Yes. So as I was sharing my story, I have a few friends that said, hey, my school is on board. Like, we will do that fundraiser. It's awesome. And they did sign a letter of intent.
Okay.
But if I'm going out to 316 schools that are here in Las Vegas, Like, do I just shoot them an email? Do I go to the principal? Do I go to the president of the PTA? Like, what do you guys suggest?
I suggest calling and asking who you contact. Sometimes it is only through the PTA or PTO, whatever you call it at that school, and sometimes it is through the principal, or sometimes it's through the guidance counselor. You just don't know. Also, what I think that you should do is you should have numbers of what those other schools are doing. Mm-hmm. So it's like name dropping, right? Mm-hmm. So like Abraham Lincoln School is participating in blah, blah, blah. It's like going for the whale first. So when people know that other people are participating and you say they got, I don't know, $1,000 to their PTO and it went towards the library, you're able to show the case study, the social proof of this school actually being very successful in doing that. And they are more apt to say yes because they are not the first school to try to put their trust in you to deliver those products. Like if you have a special flyer, you know that when you're going in to sell to the school that you should probably bring that up. And you could even have a flyer that shows your case studies,
Like kind of like a pitch deck or something.
Yes, yeah. Perfectly, yes.
Something simple. You could also send the school like as a gift. You could address it to like the principal and you can send them a kit with like an explanation of it. So that might be a little bit of cost involved. But I would say like start with a handful of schools and probably schools that you think that the communities could afford it versus the ones that maybe they're not. And then you can start there. And then you could also talk about like, do you have a sister school? Like as you work through this, what your give back is going to be. But I would just try a handful and see where they direct you to.
Okay. Talk
to the principal, introduce yourself, tell them what you're doing, exactly what she said. Like we've raised X amount of dollars in 3 days from these kits and like these are the results. We have 3 other schools that have like committed to this. And then like would you be who we spoke to, or like who's your lead person, like who's your lead parent, or who can I contact? And then it's all about relationships. So they're also just going to be so jazzed on what you're talking about and like, oh my goodness, this is so easy. I also think there's like kindergarten days. So like kindergarten is a totally separate thing, right? Because like they have like this kids coming back and like, well, at least at like our school, like fifth graders.
We actually, the parents meet with the kindergarten teacher. The kindergarten teacher comes to our houses in Iowa. And we sit down with the teacher, which is incredible.
Amazing, yeah.
Which, isn't probably safe for kindergarten teachers to go to every house.
Would you like some candy? Then ours is unwrapped.
But we had no idea until ours came, and I was like, wow, I can't believe they do that.
That's a good district. But so there's also like the sub-kindergarten one. You could do almost like a kindergarten box, and like maybe in there's something fun that's like a keychain, something like first day of school picture, like frame or something in addition to, or like an add-on. But I think there's twofold there too. Yeah. And that's the principals doing like the open houses and who's in charge of fundraising. And it might be different each one, but cold calling, yeah. But cold call, and people like phone calls, and the principals will respond. Like you'll leave a message with the secretaries. You could ask for their email address. So it's kind of like when you're looking for stores to buy your stuff. Like oftentimes they might get a ton of emails and they're going to get back to their priorities. If you call and have that communication, and then you're like, hey, so is the principal available? I'm doing da-da-da. I'd like to talk about a fundraiser for your school. And they might take a message. Can I also get their email address? You can send them a great email with like a good subject line. Like we do good subject lines, I think. Like but something cute. So something like it could be formal, but also something that's enticing. Like, the school name plus your business name, like equal fundraiser or something, something like that. And then it's just the follow up.
Okay.
With it.
Yeah, I think that cold calls, or that you should totally cold call, are the ones that still work in the traditional model of how things are done. So don't be calling a tech company that's run by millennials, obviously, So
but principals in schools, you're still calling.
Exactly. They still run from that traditional model of, red tape and old school way of doing things. So getting a phone call for them is normal and then probably the best way to do it. Okay. I think that they just do things in a certain process that you have to kind of accommodate to.
I'll also say, if they do say, yes, let's do this, send some sort of, gift or something even to the person. You could send, a thank you note.
An onboarding thing,
Yeah. Just a follow through with it. So, thank you so much. So, all these people that you're saying have, letters of intent. stay in contact with them. So it's like those touch points. So it might be like a thank you so much. It could be like an update email. It could be, we met with some amazing people today at the shows, and like, you know, there's like personalized, she hates them, but like pencils are like a regular pencil sharpener pencil. She's like, no, I would never do this. But you know, if you did something that was like on brand, that you can kind of send them as like a reminder, that's cute. Or
yeah, pencils would fit with a school. What Jacqueline was talking about is that, you know how there's those pencils that they say go get it or whatever, but they're personalized pencils, and most people love those, but I like loathe them. Anytime that my daughter gets a pencil from like a freebie gift thing, because we can't actually do baked goods or anything anymore in our schools.
We can't either.
She gets tons of pencils, and I'm like, oh, sorry, recycle bin, and I just throw it in there because I don't like pencils. I don't know what it is, and I don't like to take the time to sharpen them. And you know how many times my daughter asked me to sharpen a pencil for her? I'm just like, oh. So yeah,
you can tell this is a point of contention for Mina.
So anyways, I wanted to get that out there.
My daughter has like an electric sharpener that she stick.
Yeah.
So does mine, but the tip always breaks in there.
Okay, so you've talked about the other business you have. So let's talk about that for a second, because people don't, like, you are a mother with 2 businesses. So
and 2 kids.
And 2 kids.
Hence 4 kids.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
so I
what
was
was
right.
at the
Thank you.
forefront. Yes.
Thank you. So you own Crooked Cactus CBD. So tell us a little bit about that business.
Yeah, that's very exciting. So Crooked Cactus CBD, we are a manufacturer and we distribute pure, safe, healthful, hemp-derived CBD and therapeutic essential oil remedies that support your health and your active lifestyle. And it's pretty fascinating with where we're at with more and more states passing hemp and cannabis laws. And how I got into that business was my son with special needs. He was born with Down syndrome and then placed on the ADHD, and then ultimately the autism spectrum, and finally a seizure disorder. And so the seizures is what we went out on a quest to find a more natural approach rather than all of the pharmaceuticals with these nasty side effects that they wanted to give my then 6-year-old son. And I'm looking at him and thinking about all of these side effects, and I'm like, no, not my baby boy. And we stumbled upon CBD, and within 3 weeks the seizures had completely stopped.
Wow. I know a lot of people would take for anxiety. It's, you know, so many things that it can be helpful with, right?
It's amazing. And in the beginning, I thought there's no way. Like how I had to get over the stigma, right? I'm a child of the 80s, like just say no to drugs. And then those like images of those eggs where it's like, this is your brain and this is your brain on drugs, and they're frying up in a pan. And but we were so desperate for help that we figured, despite all of the consequences that were being presented at that time, that it was worth moving forward, and we're happy that we did. But yeah, so once it worked, I thought, shoot, like I better do some more research into exactly what this is. And we found out that it matters where it's grown and how it's cultivated and how it's extracted. And we were using still a very big brand today, but we found out that they extracted with ethanol and butane.
Is it because of the pesticides? Is that why?
So hemp is what's called a massive bioaccumulator. So it's super skilled at pulling up everything out of the soil.
Okay.
So if there's heavy metals or pesticides or microbes in the soil, it just seeps it up. Like hemp is planted in areas where there's chemical contaminations and oil spills and things like that, because it's so skilled at replenishing that soil.
Okay.
So it matters. And then the extraction process, like how do you actually get the plant material like out of the greenery and into an oil form? You can use steam distillation, you can use all of these different types of extractions, but you know, putting butane and ethanol and acetone in my child was not an option.
Right.
And there wasn't any transparency at that point almost 4 years ago, and we just decided, hey, if we're going to know what goes into my son's body, and ultimately ours, because our whole family started using it once we dove into the research and saw all the benefits, we figured we're just going to have to do it our own.
That is amazing. And I know exactly what you mean. They're going to, in Iowa where I live, they decades ago had ammunitions on this land that John Deere, which is
the tractor company.
the tractor company, but they also do I don't know, corn or whatever. Gosh, I know nothing about this company, obviously. Anyway, so land was where an ammunition's production company was before, back in like the Civil War or whatever. And so the dirt and everything still had casings, and it still had, you know, whatever,
like
chemicals.
Yeah,
lead.
stuff. Yeah.
And things that you don't think about, because you think we're decades from that. But
It
things
lives
like,
on.
yeah, it does live on.
Where I lived in New Jersey in Edgewater, it was like all like coal, and it was because it's the ports like on Hudson, and I lived next to a Superfund site, like, which is like the EPA has closed this thing down. I'm like, oh, this is why the rent's cheaper on this side.
The way that Jacqueline talks about New Jersey, I have this image in my head that it's like,
it's so where I live though is so beautiful. Like I sit under the trees and watch squirrels and birds.
yeah, this is actually, she's not being facetious.
No, I love it. There's like
Yeah.
baby deer that live in my backyard at this point, and you know, like, and then if the trees weren't as full and luscious as they are, I could see New York City. So it's just funny because I'm an LA girl, and LA people are brats, and I'm just like, I never thought I'd be living like in the, because let me tell everybody, like, it's not Housewives of New Jersey, like, it's awesome. And then we met some Jersey people today, and then they were like, where do you live? And I was like, off the 280 off, and they're like, what exit? Because that's what people do in Jersey. And I was like, oh, yeah, the 280. And they're like, no, 280. You live off 280, not the. I was like,
we don't add the.
Yeah. And back to LA, we're like, the 101, the 405, the 10. So anyways, New Jersey, love you. Thank you for welcoming me. So, okay, so where and how do you sell your product right now?
Wow. So because of the industry, we can't do any paid advertising. So no Facebook ads, Instagram ads, Google Sense, like nothing paid. Even in publications or advertising on billboards, I mean, a lot of it is limited. So mostly word of mouth and just as being as visible as I can, sharing my story.
Can you do podcasts?
Yes.
And how about online sales? You can sell online.
I can sell online. So I have a Facebook page. We have an e-commerce store. You can't. So the banking is still an issue. So it's kind of a two-step process to be able to get it. But yeah, it's all done. Once they go through it once, return customers are like, no problem. We know how to shop. We kind of train them. But
the Wild West still.
Wild West.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But getting in on it early. Like, you know, I mean, it's still on the early side of it all where if you can't do billboards, and we're going to talk about this in a few years, and there's going to be billboards everywhere for it.
Yeah. People aren't even going to know what billboards are anymore.
Oh, sorry. Like emoticons?
Yes. So I think, it's just something that's so new. This is something that with Amazon, for instance, they did some sort of, it's such a huge deal where they said that sellers now have to collect sales tax for every single state. So it's something like 45 states, so not every single state, and then some municipalities. But it will be such a compliance nightmare because nobody knows how to do that as a seller, but they're just trying to catch up with the way things were before. Same with CBD oil, right? They're trying to figure that out in the federal system, and then it will affect the sellers of it eventually, and then it will be very normal.
Right.
So the same thing with the sales tax. People, I think anyways, will eventually look to have a federal law. You're paying something federal rather than to 45 states. I mean, it's insane, right? So it'll probably be something federal that gets passed, and it will umbrella it all. And then, years from now, people will be, it won't even be a thing. You'll be a pioneer, basically.
Yeah. Right now, there's on the marijuana side, very heavily regulated. So anybody buying a product from a dispensary, no problem. That's tested. It's highly regulated. You know exactly where it's coming from. You know the genetics. Very safe. On the CBD side, for hemp, no regulation. So it's a little scary because you have people that see the opportunity. They're jumping on the bandwagon. They're trying to cash in on the green rush. And there are things like on Amazon that are being sold as CBD oil, but there's no CBD in it. Or, it's just hemp seed oil, which doesn't contain CBD. There's people that are getting the oil from China, right? And it hasn't been tested. And there's no testing regulations. So it's very hard for consumers right now, and I have an ebook available at crookedcactuscbd.com that gives the 10 C's of CBD, and that's the 10 considerations that you should be aware of when you're shopping or comparing brands. And if your brand, maybe not all brands hit, all 10. I mean, we do. But the higher that you can get on that checklist, the better. Things like proper labels and testing and how it's cultivated, making sure that you understand what's in it, is all really important.
Are you educating the customers, or are you educating other people to sort of do it themselves?
So I do one-on-one CBD sessions where anybody can hop on my calendar and we go through, whether it's just answering questions like, is it good for this? How do I dose? How do I choose a product? So I do that, and there's very few people out there that are at that level of service.
I think it's really confusing. That's why I think that a lot of people, from what I understand of it, it's like getting all the benefits of hemp without like being high, so then people are thinking, can I drive with it? Can I, will it make me super sleepy? Will it make me hungry? What are the benefits medically? So I think that there's so much consumer confusion because of that, and it's so smart for you to take a look at it from a medicinal angle.
Could you, and I don't know if you do this within your group or on your Facebook page, but could you take some of the questions that you're asked in these one-on-ones and track them and then be able to sort of repeat it? So do a Q&A, so you can almost get all that information out to people, because you're getting this knowledge. I'm sure you get repeat questions oftentimes, and so whenever there's a repeat question, that's something you should write a blog about or do a Facebook Live about it, and sort of and that's the wash, rinse, repeat sort of deal, where it's the thing that if most people are asking you, then a lot of people have those questions, and so that's somewhere to pay attention to.
Right. I can do that, and that's on my to-do list.
Yeah.
So not something I'm fast acting on like I did with School Supply Shopper.
Right.
Yeah, I think that it's great that you're, really position yourself as an expert, because eventually then you can raise your prices because that you're hitting those 10 points, whereas those other brands are subpar. Right now it's kind of where you're establishing that still, So then as a parent or as someone who cares about my health, I'm willing to pay more of a premium because I know that you've already jumped through the hoops and made sure there's no butane in my CBD oil, let's say,
Yeah.
But I didn't even know that should be a concern for me. So it's just like Jacqueline says about so many products, that sometimes it's just about the education, and then that's the stage that you're in, to be in that expert stage, and then you can raise your prices eventually to fit that, however it may be, how the market sets, right? Because you don't want to be at the same price as a crappy brand. You want to be above them.
Or becoming the expert, so that let's say local news stations could hire you if there's some sort of movement or law passed, that you can come on and speak. So eventually defining yourself as an expert. So I've been following Aviva Ram. She does a thing on adrenal fatigue syndrome, but she's a doctor and she has a podcast, and then she has a book, and I kind of found my way to that. And so she reinforces her book, her brand. She sells supplements. All of this is all reinforced, and she's the person and the expert people would go to if they were looking into adrenal fatigue, for example, which I was looking into. So you listen to the podcast.
Absolutely.
So this is the fun part where we're going to ask you that rapid questions. So it's fun. So we'll start with, what is your coffee order?
A venti mocha frappuccino with 3 pumps frappe roast and 5 pumps mocha.
How much is that?
$12.
$5.35.
Really? That's a steal.
Oh, and with almond milk.
Oh, amazing. Last time we were here, we spent $12 on 2 teas or something. It was something crazy. All right. Favorite thing on your desk?
Oh, I am very mobile. I don't really have a set desk. I co-work at a downtown location here in Las Vegas, and so that's moving parts, and at home it's wherever I have space.
Okay.
But my favorite thing that I have on me at any given time is my bullet journal.
Oh, very cool. So finish this sentence. When I pick up my phone, I
cringe.
No, you look at the Product Boss podcast.
You wish you knew how to
I wish I knew how to like speak every language in the world.
Oh, wow.
That would be nice.
So there were no language barriers anywhere I went, and I could totally monetize that.
That's pretty amazing. That's a good answer. What was the last show you binge watched?
Luther.
Okay. What should the title on your business card actually say?
It actually does say what it is. Hashtag CBD chick.
Oh, cool. Do you have an alter ego or stage persona?
See, I would say yes. She doesn't come out very often, but when I need to get things done, I call upon Contessa.
Oh my gosh, I love that name.
The CBD Contessa.
Yeah, it seems so powerful.
Yeah, it really is. And then what would you tell the baby you now what you didn't know back then? So like your baby business person, like who you were then.
Oh, I still feel like I am a baby business person.
I mean, 4 days ago, you didn't have a different business.
So about 35 days ago, what would you have told yourself?
Well, I think what I did with School Supply Shopper is what I would have told my younger self in a lot of different ways, which is just go for it. So what? Like, what's the worst that can happen?
I mean, what's the worst that can happen? You sell 60-something kits and sign on 4 schools, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I figured even if it was 0, it was a project with my daughter. And sometimes you don't get sales. And so it's still a win because it would have been a lesson that I could have talked to her about and I would have learned from.
Yeah, amazing. So you've just proved, I mean, you've just gotten the full circle.
Yeah.
Well, I love that both of your kids have inspired your businesses so that the things that you've created are for them and they also have that story to tell too.
Yeah, they actually each have their own business.
Yeah.
You know, right?
Yeah. So that's awesome. So tell our
legacy.
Yeah, exactly. So tell our listeners how they can reach you and contact you and we'll just tell them both businesses.
Okay, schoolsupplyshopper.com because it's like 14 days old or whatever. That's the only thing I have there. I'm very accessible on Facebook, Taiya Thompson, and at Crooked Cactus CBD on Facebook and crookedcactuscbd.com.
Awesome.
And we'll have those all in the show notes as well.
All right. Well, thank you so much for meeting us, and
Thanks,
we're just so
Taiya.
excited.
Thank you, ladies.
Bye.
This episode was brought to you by our new mastermind program, Holiday to Halo. You get the guidance of both myself and Jacqueline as your coaches inside an amazing group of fellow product-based business owners. Starting in September, we'll be getting a head start and ramping up to make a big impact on sales for the Cyber 5, which is Thanksgiving through Cyber Monday. Then on to Christmas revenue strategy. And to boost your growth into the new year, we'll be setting your business up for Halo sales into Q1. We would love for you to join us. Go to theproductboss.com/mastermind for more information.